Hello, hello. It's business partner. B plus 1, B1 plus. Lesson 3.2. Job interview questions. We're talking about job hunting. There are people that want you to work for them, and maybe there are companies you'd like to work for. Are you at a job at the moment? So you got this job, probably because you were successful in a job interview. Or your next job, you will go through a job interview. Let's talk about that. Let's get prepared for job interviews. We'll talk about job interview questions in this lesson. We'll see the use of a range of direct and indirect questions for job interviews. Indirect questions? What are those? Let's talk about that. But to start, let's see this here. We have these two questions. Why do you say it's a question? Because you have this, the question mark. But what day-to-day be would responsibilities my? It's out of order, right? Can you put the words in the correct order to make a sentence? And this one, the interview process are what the next steps? Huh? Why don't you pause the video and try to put these sentences in the correct order? Will you? Easy? Well, not too hard. Come on, please. Let's try together. Okay. Well, what would be my day-to-day responsibilities? Easy? Easy, right? Easy, super easy. And the second one, let's try the interview process. What are the next steps in the interview process? Great. Yes, this is it. Do you think they are very good questions for a job interview? What would be my day-to-day responsibilities? What are the next steps in the interview process? If you liked the questions, you could realize that those questions are for job interviews, but they are asked by us when we want to get a job, right? And this is not the type of question that an interviewer asks an interviewee. This is what an interviewee asks about the process, to be whether the candidate themselves, whether they are eligible for the job, right? And what they would do if they were hired. Well, this is it. Oh, Carvão wants to come here? No. Playing in my bed. Well, we are going to work in pairs to talk about this at the live lesson. If you had a job interview next week, how would you prepare for it? Well, you would review this lesson, right? Because this lesson will talk about the process of job interviews. And it's very nice to review some questions, to be able to answer them and to be ready for it. But have you researched on the company? How's your CV? Is it updated? What clothes are you going to wear? Are they clean? Ironed? Are they? What else? What questions do you think they could ask you? Are you prepared for them? What questions would you like to ask about the job, the company, and everything? Preparation is very important, so try to get prepared before you go to the job interview, right? We have these 4 pictures here. Look at them. A to D, A, B, C, D. What do you think of them? Well, it's the same guy, right? What do you think about the candidate's body language in each picture? Is it positive or negative? Can you give reasons for your answers? Well, this is very good discussion in the job interview. Oh, by the way, isn't this skirt a bit too short for a job interview? Well, I think that people look at that, so be careful with your clothes. And more than that, look here. Body language. They are going to look at you and analyze. It's their job. But you say, oh, people shouldn't judge others. Yes, maybe not. But yes, they are judging you, judging us, to see whether they want to hire us. They have to judge, right? Not the character, but if we are eligible. Look, how would you describe his posture here? Is he as timid, as shy as I am? Are they going to like me? Do you think he's showing like self-confidence? Yes or no? What do you think? And the second picture. Do you think he's as confident or insecure as in this picture? What do you think? Let's get a little closer. Is this more positive than this one? And this one? How would you describe this picture? Be aware that they look at us and they are judging us. Are you an interviewer? You look to people. You look at the candidates and you think, is he insecure? Is he confident? What emotions does he show in everything, right? Is he listening carefully? This is positive, right? Is he thoughtful? Like pensativo? Is he? But is it really positive? I don't know. I'm not sure. But look here. And here. Is he positive? Is he in a positive or negative position or posture? Maybe more positive than here. Maybe he was listening here and then started speaking confidently. What do you think? Let's talk more during the live lesson, okay? After that, we have the listening exercise, in which we have to complete the task with your partner, or with me, if it's a private lesson. Look at this question. This sentence. I don't have much experience in going for interviews. Oh, okay. There's always the first time, right? And here, I have some experience in going for interviews. So we have these 2 scenarios. Maybe you need both scenarios, but because you don't have much experience, but you have some. And here, you have some experience, but not very much. And you think that you could improve more. So let me go over these 2 scenarios for us. We have some questions on page 127 if you want to open your book. And let's decide with your partner if the questions are appropriate or inappropriate or irrelevant for a job interview. Curious? Let me show you. Otherwise, if you have some experience, you should write 5 typical job interview questions. And you should compare with another pair and talk. Maybe you have 10 different questions. Maybe you have 8 different questions because you wrote 2 that are similar, and that's the point. Well, I'm going to show you some of these sentences here. Look. And you tell me if you think they are appropriate or not. I have my point of view, and maybe you agree with that. You tell me if you agree. Look, I think that number 1, look, what do you like doing at the weekends? Do you really think this is a normal question? I wouldn't say that. I don't think that it's their business what I do at the weekends. What do you think? So I think this is kind of inappropriate. Did you have any trouble finding us? Oh, that's kind, isn't that? It isn't very important, but you know, it shows that they are interested in my well-being. 3, have you ever been in hospital? Is this job to work in a hospital? Is this company a hospital? Otherwise, why asking that? Are you about to die? Do you have terminal cancer? Are these the other 2 questions, the following questions? You see, everybody has been to a hospital. Maybe. I don't know. But I was there. I took some papers. I visited my sister. That's vague and I think personal. Do you prefer working independently or in a team? Oh, this is a question for a job interview, right? I like that one. Because it is okay to work independently. It's okay to work in a team, depending on the job. A taxi driver. Do you like working in a team? He works alone, right? You see? And look at 5. Are you prepared to work long hours? That's nice. I like. You know, after 3 hours, I start getting tired. What about the other 5 hours in the day, on the day? Right? So, I don't know. Be careful with that. 6. What were your favorite subjects at college, at university? I think it's a nice question. Why? Because if you are applying for a work in a certain area, it's okay to know if you like math, geography, something related to the job, right? Do you plan to have children in the near future? Appropriate. Is it okay to ask that in Brazil? I don't think that's appropriate in England. It's not your business if I want to have a kid. I don't know. I don't like this question. Do you prefer tea or coffee? Unless the person is offering you, I don't think this is relevant. But if the person, can you answer? I'd like some tea, please. Milk, no sugar. Is it okay? Because do you prefer tea or coffee? Just to know. If they ask that and don't offer you, that's impolite, I think. Inappropriate. My point of view. 9, sorry. Oops, sorry. highlighting the ones that are inappropriate in my point of view. Tell me about a successful project you've worked on. Oh, that's a good question, right? Connected to work and so on. What is your greatest passion? I think it's okay. It's okay. Oh, growing in my career. It seems a bit cliche, right? But I think it's a great question. I think it's okay. You can't complain if they ask you that. It's my soccer team, my football team. Be careful with your answer, okay? It should be something connected to your work, if that's true. Don't lie. Don't lie. Next, what's your proudest achievement? I think it's okay. Graduating, taking your master, getting your previous job, becoming a father, a mother. I don't know, you tell me. Why don't we talk about these questions during the live lesson? I think that's nice. Where did you go on holiday last year? Is this job in a travel agency? Otherwise, why asking that? I went to Little West Cassava. Eu fui para Mandioquinha do Oeste. It's not your business. Huh. Be careful. Oh, I'm talking to the interviewer, right? Not to you in the video. 13. What do you know about us, about our company? What do you know? This is a very good question, and be prepared for that question. If they ask you, you should be able to answer that question, right? Be careful with that. Who was a mentor for you at university or in your previous job? Right? Great. Very nice. Very nice. 15. Why don't you eat meat? Huh? Why that question? Well, maybe if you work in a fast food chain and they serve meat, well, maybe you would have access to the canteen, you could get what they serve, and you wouldn't, and maybe you are going to sell meat, but you are totally against eating meat. So they could be worried about that. Otherwise, I don't think it's relevant. If you eat meat or not, they shouldn't ask. 16. Little sweet 16. I'd like to know why you didn't include any references in your CV. Well, because it's my first job. Oh, you can give references. Like your teachers, professors at university. You can have some references. Is it your first job? Are you new in the country? And you speak, I don't know, your first language is a language from, well, you know, the point, nobody would understand your language. I don't know, but you see, probably it would be nice to give references, and this is a good question. 17. Can you give me the phone number of your best friend? Why? Did you like me so much, but you saw that I'm married? Not at the moment. And then you want a friend because you would like to get married to my friend. Why this question? This is strange. Can you tell me about a time when you worked well in a team? This is a nice question, right? Maybe when I'm my job before becoming a taxi driver. 19. We'd like to know why you left your previous job. Maybe it isn't very easy to answer because they can call your last company, but maybe you will have to answer this question similar to this one. And by the way, maybe if you were a taxi driver, if I were a taxi driver, I wasn't, you could have worked in a team, because there are like taxi stands where 5 taxi drivers stay waiting for calls, and it's normal that they call us. They have to stay together for half hour, 1 hour. I don't know, you know. That's the point. And look at 20. If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? Okay. I don't really see the point, but it's a normal question. It's okay. I would like to be a tiger because I'm fierce and I go for my objectives. And are you aggressive? So you see, be careful with the animal you would like to be. Be careful with that, and be careful what the animal that you say and what traits you talk about that animal you would like to be. Well, then there is the second part. Write 5 typical job interview questions. Let's do that in the live lesson, okay? And compare together our ideas. Let's do that. But we have in 4 a candidate, and this candidate has applied for a job as a chemical engineer at a company that works in wastewater management. Oh, that's a very nice and important job. Wastewater management. Imagine all that thing, or most of it, go back to a river. Does it go clean? So chemical engineers help making sure that the water goes clean to the river. Listen to 8 questions from his job interview. And did you have similar questions in exercise 3? Well, let's see. Let me play. Pay attention.
Unit 3, Recording 1. 1.
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
2.
Are you working at the moment?
3.
How long have you worked as a chemical engineer?
4.
Do you have any experience in green technologies?
5.
Why would you like to work for us?
6.
What would you do on your first day at work?
7.
Do you have your original certificates with you?
8.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
How did you like the pictures, the questions? How did you like them? I liked them. So, well, the point is that the questions, oh, sorry for that. The questions are really likely to appear in a job interview. Yes, they can appear. So be prepared for your your future job interview by practicing this lesson. Very practical, very practical. Well, let's see number 5. The idea is, did you have similar questions in exercise 3? They were different from these ones, but maybe they were similar to the ones that you thought, and we will think together during the live lesson. But we have here the words in an incorrect order, and we should unscramble them. Then listen again and check your answers. Well, we have here, why don't you take a picture of it, or why don't you open your book and try to put these words in the correct order. I'm not going to do this now because we are going to talk about these questions later together. Right. Easy. Very simple. You can go back and listen to the audio again and try to do this on your own. So pause your video and try to do like this one. Are weaknesses what your strengths and? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Very common question, by the way. Very common question, not only to chemical engineers, right? Independently on the area, that's a likely question to appear in a job interview. Look, this is similar, right? Your greatest weakness is. Do you feel comfortable about talking about your weaknesses? To be honest, I don't feel very comfortable at talking about my weaknesses. What do you have to do here? Listen to some more interview questions and complete what the interviewer says. Contractions count as one word, like we're, I'd, I've. Okay, but these are questions. So what's is one question. Okay, so this is it. Listen to some more interview questions. So we are going to listen first and then try to complete the sentences. Let's go and listen to them. Pay attention.
Unit 3, Recording 2. 1.
You've told me about your strengths. Can you tell me what your greatest weakness is?
Can you tell me what your greatest weakness is? Right?
2.
Could you tell me about your work experience?
3.
You write in your CV that you have good leadership skills. Can you tell me about a time when you showed leadership skills?
4.
Although you have the right qualifications, you don't have much work experience in this sector. I'd like to know if you've ever done any voluntary work.
If, right?
5.
Could you tell me how you would add value to our company?
How? Oh, this is a nice question.
6.
This job involves visiting wastewater facilities around the country. I'd like to know if you are prepared to travel for the job.
If you're prepared to travel for the job.
7.
Right, finally, I'd like to know who I should contact for a reference.
Who I should contact for a reference? Really good questions, right? Oh, come on. We have already 17 plus 8, 25, 32 or more job interview questions so far. Are you prepared to answer all of them? Imagine. Wow. What kind of questions are these? And how are they different from the questions in exercise 5? Well, here we're talking about grammar. We aren't talking about job interviews, really. But the point is, what are the difference? Basically, there's one basic difference. How are they different? Can you tell me? Well, I'd like to know if you could get the difference, because we had these questions here, right? And I'd really like to know if you got the difference. And well, it's because the grammar is about that. So let me open here. You have that in your book on page 120. And now this is about direct questions. Did you know that you can say direct or direct? Sometimes I say direct, sometimes I say direct. Well, let's see. The usual word order in question forms is question word, auxiliary verb, subject, main verb, object, or something. Like, have you worked in sales before? Or question word, why did you decide to travel for a year? This is called a direct question. This is a question, right? Direct questions can be open or closed. Closed questions have a yes or no answer. Sometimes, or I'm usually call them yes or no questions, not closed questions. While open questions start with a question word or words. For example, what, who, when, where, why, how. Do you have any experience for this position? Is a closed question. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Are you prepared to travel? Closed. Invert the verb be. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Why would you like to work for us? It's an open question. Look, I can't answer with yes, I would. No. Why would you like? You see, so we have to give a reason. We can't say yes or no. You see, that's it. That's it. But we have more. Now we have indirect questions. We often use indirect questions to be more polite with people we don't know very well. And interviewers should be really polite. And for example, in an interview, or when a question is more difficult or challenging. So there are different ways of starting an indirect question. For example, can you tell me how many people work in the department? Could you tell us what your greatest strengths are? At least now they are asking about the strengths, not about the weaknesses. But you see why they are called indirect. Look, can you tell me? This is the question form, but I don't want you to tell me if you can. No, you can. I want to know how many people work in this department. That's what I want to know, right? And again here, look, this is the question. What your greatest strengths are? We can ask this in a direct way, but then we would invert the position of the verb to be. It comes before the subject. What are your greatest strengths? But as it is an indirect question, look, the inversion is here. It isn't you could tell us. It's could you tell us? This is a question, right? But this isn't really what I want to know. What we want to know is this, your strengths. What are they? Right? Look at these here, this other example. I'd like to know if, and then you have a WH question or question words, right? I'd like to know what the starting salary will be. Is this a normal question for an interviewee? You tell me. We'd like to know if you have experience in this sector. Like we'd like to know does not need a question mark. Why not? Look, I want to know this, what the starting salary will be. What will be the starting salary? But this is not the question. The question is this, I'd like to know. But it isn't exactly a question, is it? It isn't, can you tell me what the starting salary will be? It's, I'd like to know. And I'd like to know isn't in the form of a question. It is an indirect question. It is still an indirect question because it includes what you really want to be, or you want to ask. We'd like to know if you have experience in this sector. Right? Good. Oh, no. Vai, Carvão, passa. Thank you. Enclosed questions. We'd like to know. And can you, could you tell me, could you tell us, are followed by if. I'd like to know if you like São Paulo. Could you tell me if you like ice cream? While in open questions, they are followed by a question word or words, like what, and so on. I'd like to know where you were born. You see? Yes, for example, here, a closed question. I'd like to know if you provide any training. Do you provide any training? I'd like to know what kind of training you provide. What kind of training do you provide? You see the difference? Do you provide any training? What kind of training do you provide is an open question. So you have what here instead of if. Could you tell me whether I will need to travel? Need to travel. Will I need to travel? Could you tell me whether I will need to travel? Well, weather is not climate. It's going to rain. It's hot today. No, by the way, it isn't hot today. Weather is if. When we use weather, we have yes or no, yes or no. We have two options usually. You have to decide. You have to make a decision, something like that. It is necessary to travel or not. Could you tell me how often I will need to travel? How often will I need to travel? would be the direct question. This is the indirect question. And this is an open question. You don't answer with yes. Yes, you have to travel. No, that's not what I'm asking here. It's how often I will need to travel. You see the difference? And always check the word order in indirect questions, as there's no inversion of the subject and the auxiliary verb. Like, I'd like to know who I will report to, and not who will I report to. Because in direct questions, you ask, who will I report to? But if you have this beginning, it becomes an indirect question. So you say, I'd like to know who I report to. So you see, there's no inversion. Like here. What kind of training do you provide? You don't have this do you provide here. What kind of training you provide? Because it's an indirect question and you asked with this beginning. I'd like to know, right? That's very important to remember. Well, this is it. And then there will be the pronunciation bank in which we will work together, right? Very nice lesson, very nice preparation. Bye-bye, Caramelo. See you in the live lesson. Bye-bye.